Yo, Merry Christmas, Tommy. Boom.
What's going on?
What's up? How you doing?
Good. What are you doing?
Nothing much, man. We're just doing Christmas. Just checking in on some old guests of ours that we find entertaining, and we're having a little holiday party here. Just kind of like bringing everybody on for a few minutes and talk. What are you doing for the holidays, by the way?
Christmas Eve, I go spend, and it's a shocker because no one ever guesses it, so I can't tell you. I spend it with an old ECW persona, and
wait,
I always put it out.
You're not allowed to tell us who it is.
No, because no one ever gets it, and if I say it on your podcast, people are going to guess it.
Is it a female?
Yes, I spend it with a female with my family and my female wife. And
well, I'm trying to narrow it down. You said EC. Well, you're doing the ECW quote unquote person thing. Like we have to be like gender neutral when describing people because like we're in the politically correct society and stuff and everything. So I was just wondering if it was an actual female, so we could like narrow it down a lot easier.
I'm not going to tell you who it is, so you can guess all you want. I'll tell you what. You guess December 24th, and that's when I'll. If you guess who it is on December 24th, when I put it out there, I do it every year on social media.
But do you ever give?
And then
would you say that you spend many joyous moments with your friend Raven?
He's Jewish, so no.
Oh my God, Tommy, let's talk about. Were you pleased with my appearance on Impact Wrestling, and I delivered you guys a record rating for Thanksgiving? It was the first Thanksgiving.
I didn't even get to finish what I do for Christmas.
Oh, well, to be honest with you, all I really care about is my Christmas. Go ahead and finish. Let's hear the rest.
No, I'm not. Oh. This is why I like talking to Conan, not Disco.
You're just jealous, Dreamer.
Like the East podcast.
Can we discuss your performance in the FanDuel Weekly Challenge?
Ooh, horrible. I hate
it. Oh my God, I wanted a little slump there too because I was always picking the bust of the week, like the one guy that everyone was on that busted. I had that guy every week for like 6 weeks.
Here's what I don't like about your league: they limit the games that are being played.
Well, we just chose to do the Sunday Million slate.
Sunday, yeah.
But no, you're right. I tell you, there's more value in other ones.
Some games that are not in there.
We just had a run, and another guest just joined the party, actually.
Oh, my God.
We have a gate crasher?
We have a gate crasher, yes.
Who is this?
Hello.
Hello?
Yo, Raven, what's up?
Is this 1-800 Disco Inferno?
No, Raven. Guess who we have here with you?
Who's that?
Tommy Dreamer.
Outstanding.
We can fight over the phone.
Let me ask you a question. Tommy, since you've known Raven, okay, what percentage of the time since you guys have met each other, since your relationship started, what percentage of the time of your relationship spent together have you two spent arguing?
I would say the first half of ECW, nothing. We got along perfect. And then after he went to WCW and then he came back, that entire run was pretty much full of arguments.
100% of the time?
Yeah, it was during the lost years. I maintain that I'm not responsible for those years.
Yes. Those have been expunged from the record and our memories, hopefully.
How about Disco, as a host, has not let his guests finish any of the questions that he has answered?
That's what I do. I talk over.
But that's a shitty fucking host. Excuse my French.
I learned how to talk on podcast. My podcast style, I would consider Lex Luger. Okay, I Luger. If anybody knows Lex Luger, I Luger talk on podcasts.
He power talks.
And if anybody's ever met Lex Luger, had conversations with him,
exactly what he's talking about.
I'm talking about. And so basically, I've decided I Luger talk on podcasts.
Disco, you interrupt yourself asking questions.
That is true.
Sometimes.
That's pretty hard to do, especially when you have notable talkers like Conan, Raven, and Tommy Dreamer that you're going to be.
Disco doesn't ask questions to hear the answer. He asks the question to hear himself ask the question.
Right. Okay. And hopefully he can get involved in the answer.
Maybe.
Well, to go back to your other question of your performance at Impact, I thought was phenomenal. And you were very much the heel like you are in life. Mm-hmm. And your performance in the turkey outfit was tremendous. Mm-hmm. I thought they should have followed up. I suggested in the creative meeting, number one, to go, because I think this is missing in wrestling, the comedy aspect of making fun of kind of themselves / other people. Like they should have done this entire thing of how devastating it is to people's careers that wear that suit and be like, AJ Styles wore the suit, never seen ever again. And do stuff like that, like this whole montage, Samoa Joe, whoever wore the suit. And then I said they should have also filmed you wearing the suit at your real job in that suit in the real job. I thought it would have been fabulous.
I would have done that. That'd be pretty funny.
Is this the manager of the strip club?
But see, I would have booked it with a twist, because I would have had I would be wearing the suit, but all the girls coming into work would be completely digging it.
Right.
Are you the manager or the co-assistant part-time district regional manager?
No, he is the assistant manager / glory hole enterprise.
That's actually not true.
That's true. Hand job of the week, 3 to 5 in the morning.
100%. That's not true. That's disgusting. Okay.
Assistant manager to the traveling secretary. That was George Costanza's job, by the way, in the Yankees.
Disco used to be. He used to have the casting couch at the strip club, but that was only when he worked at where the male strip joint.
All right.
Yep.
Do you have your slide whistle?
The last, I want to say, real job Raven had was purely one of the greatest nights I've ever had. And I only hung out with Raven twice because I believed. No, because we were in a feud, and it's still real to me. I had barely ever talked to him in public when I would see him. And
is that a thing you're using?
Yes.
Okay.
The one time he was a DJ at a strip club that was like right across the street from where he lived in New Jersey.
Right.
And I went down there one day. He was the best / worst DJ of all time because one picture and he looked like Raven,
right,
who looked so cool, but then coming out of his mouth to the main stage. Please come out to the main stage. That's number one. And then the best part about it was if he was nonstop hitting on the women at all times, and if he liked the girl, he would give her a really nice intro. And if he didn't like the girl, he'd be like, "Hey guys, don't really tip her because she's kind of a bitch." On the right side of the strip club. Or he'd be like, I'm hitting on her constantly and she's not going for it. So here. And then girls would also request songs, and he'd even say it. She wanted this song, so I'm playing this because I like it.
You know that show? Did you ever hear that show, That's So Raven? That's So Raven, what you just said. Raven hitting on girls is just phenomenal.
Once again, this is in the lost years. I have no recollection of these
well, you can't keep going back to that. Okay, I'm going to call you out on that. So all the years are not lost. No, because you always remember this. No, because you always remember the stuff. I've heard your podcast. You remember the stories that put yourself over. Okay, so you can't sit there and say that these are the lost years and stuff, everything, because you only have spoken about the times that you're putting yourself over.
My two favorite.
We have a bad connection.
My two favorite stories with Raven are him picking up girls in a Las Vegas nightclub, which I don't even think I could mention anymore. And number two was the time I saw him hanging out with the Swamp Thing from Louisiana. Those are my two best Raven moments. Those were the lost years.
No, and number three was when I gave you some ecstasy and you ended up in a field somewhere.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't even know what ecstasy was. Yeah. So that one, too.
That happens.
Oh, my God.
How do you like that as a friend, Tommy?
Yes, sir.
I never tried ecstasy in my life, right? And we were in a club, and Raven goes, "Here, take some of these. It'll make you feel better." And I ended up laying down in a cow pasture in South Dakota, just completely out of my fucking mind.
But it was the best time you ever had at a cow pasture.
That is true.
I thought it was funny the last time was Tommy, when we were in Vegas and did that tag match with Eli Drake. Was that the last time you've seen Raven? Or you saw him at Impact, though? Well, but until you saw him at Impact recently, right?
Yes.
That was funny. You told a story, just to repeat this since we have Raven here. When we were going over the match, and we were going over the spot where you two were going to shoot us into. We were going to go to the turnbuckles, and you were going to take me and Eli Drake and shoot us into each other. And remember what Raven asked?
Oh yeah. Man, that was the most absurd thing ever.
Yeah, Raven goes, how big is the ring? And Tommy goes, who gives a shit how big the ring? What do you mean how big the ring is? Like, it's like wrestling. Raven's like, I don't like to do that spot. Let's like a big ring. So, all you got to do is stand in the corner and throw us into each other. It's like Jesus Christ, right? That was funny.
Are those the last years, Raven?
No, those are actually. Actually, I thought it was going to be one of those tiny rings where there's no room to throw any guys from opposite buckles. So
what tiny ring is that?
They do a do-si-do.
Wait a minute.
Because you can't do a do-si-do in a 16 or an 18. It's got to be at least a 20-footer, or else Raven's not do-si-doing.
We've been doing this for 26 years at least. At least I've been doing it for 26 years. I've never been in one ring that was like too small to do that spot. I was like, what are you talking about?
I've seen your work, not a day over 3 years.
Hey, we just did. We were in Vegas. We had a nice time in Vegas. There was no big issues. And then he was, eventually we're gonna, we'll stare at each other, and then we're gonna punch Eli Drake. And he's like, what side should I be on? And I was like, well, if you're a bad shoulder, we'll go on this side. Well, what if we just do it that side so I don't have to turn? And I was like, you are the worst person ever.
That is tremendous.
Oh my God. That's great. What
I have no recollection of these events. This has been a lot of years. Can I go now? I have company here. Am I done being on the
male or female company?
My in-laws.
Oh, can we speak to them?
No, they're
put them on
in the other room.
Why not? You got to put one of your in-laws on just for 1 minute.
I don't think they want to get on the air.
Okay,
I don't blame them.
Well, you're married again? Are you married?
No, she's. I have the same in-laws. I kept my in-laws.
Well, happy Hanukkah.
We got divorced. I told you this a million times. We got divorced to save the friendship. So we're closer now than we were when we were married, and our family's still I'm still part of their family,
But technically, we're not allowed to use the word in-law. In-law.
Yeah, it's just easier.
That's like there's no law that would go. If you said these two are your in-laws, there's no law that would that would confirm that.
My outlaws,
maybe.
Ron Bass and Black Bart are at your house. Can I come over?
All right, Raven. Thank you, brother, for coming.
Hi, Raven.
Minutes with us.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time, and please continue the festivities.
Boy, think about how disinterested Raven is in us. He's literally, these are friends of his for 20-something years. He very rarely gets to talk to you at the same time. He's on for 5 minutes.
Well,
and he
bro,
says,
we're not putting
I'd rather
him over,
leave and go hang out with my in-laws that aren't really my in-laws, but they used to be my in-laws. Who does that?
My in-laws are awesome, man. I have the coolest in-laws ever, How
would you rank these people in order?
Can you let him be in a real world there? Let him be in the real world. He's not sleeping. I know. What the hell, Disco? Let him go. He's being a real person right now. It's very rare for him to do that.
All right. Oh, he just hung up. He just hung up. Sorry.
But we do have another...
Raven ditched the podcast to go hang out with his in-laws. Put that on the record, please.
And we just had Jimmy Jacobs join the show as well.
Oh, interesting.
What's up, Jimmy?
This is what's up.
Yo, you're here with Disco, JoJo, and Tommy Dreamer.
What up,
Jimmy? What up?
What up, Joe? This is it. This is what's up, man.
Where you at?
Exactly.
I'm about to gather with some of my old wrestling friends. I first broke into business just many years ago. We get together every year for a Christmas party, so I'm on my way to see them.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question. How old were you when you broke in?
15 years old, man.
Were you really? Bro, that's kind of weird because like what you're doing is so I went to college, right? It's 6.5 years. And when I go back home, I hang out with my college friends, my high school buddies and stuff, everything, But it's weird. You kind of grew up broke in with that was your college experience sort of, or the people you would have been hanging out with, pretty much just your wrestling buddies.
100%. Yeah, I never lived in the college dorms or anything like that. These guys, when I was 15. These guys were all like 18, 19. That's how I grew up. Yeah, man.
It's pretty funny too. So I went to 6.5 years of college. The week I got out of college, I tried out to wrestle, and I never looked back. Okay, and I just look at those 6 years as like, Jesus Christ, I could have started when I was 18 years old. It's like, what a colossal waste of time I just did. I did nothing with my college education, and I just wrestled for the rest of my life. It was like six blank years of just like a waste that you got to experience when like with all the people you broke in with. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. It is cool. I've had a hell of an experience. You know, these guys really wrestle anymore, but it's still good to see them. And I've over the past 20 years, yeah, man.
Jimmy,
I had a lot of fun experiences.
Let me explain to you what just went down because it kind of went over your head. What Disco just attempted to do was put you over because he's hoping you will use him more than that turkey suit thing. So that's all he
That is
did.
complete
That
fake
is
news.
Complete true.
That is completely fake news.
That is true.
Completely fake news.
Well, I will say this: Disco did a tremendous job at on the Eli Drake Gravy Train Turkey Trot. He was a pro. Even he showed up for the pre-tapes on time, and he was great. I got to put him over for that.
Please don't put him over, Jimmy.
Well, I was.
Got to give the devil his due.
I've always been to this day. I've always been professional wherever I go. I walk in the locker room. I introduce myself, shake everybody's hand. I ask the guy what I'm doing, and I go out there and I
you have
do it.
Mega Heat. You have Mega Heat with Scott D'Amore, with Lord Cyrus, with a whole bunch of people. I think.
Why is that?
Tommy Dreamer.
The funny. Why is it the perception out there that I'm a heel?
Because you are.
Wait, hang on.
But
Let me get back to that question. Jimmy, did you go to college?
I did go to college. Yeah, I went to college in my late teens, early 20s. I dropped out when I was 22 because I was doing well wrestling, and then I went back when I was like 27 and 28. I finished up. My only regret was I didn't drop out earlier. Because when I went back in my late 20s, when I went back in my late 20s, it was great. It was awesome. When you could appreciate learning when you're that age that I couldn't when I was in my teens.
That's awesome. Okay, Disco, we could talk about why you're a heel now instead of like finish the
Yeah, but why? I mean,
great achievement that he has done. Someone who's paid his dues. And if you followed him on social media, you can know when he started in wrestling, and he posts a great picture of it from his first match. And when I remember I saw it, and I was like, holy crap, you were a little boy. And then he was like, yeah, I was 15. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I sure was a little boy.
What city are you in, Jimmy?
I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan right now.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
is that where you're from?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so all you Detroit guys are from up there, huh? Is that how you like when you started like meeting DeMore and all those guys? Was just by locale?
I'm sorry?
Like, is that how you hooked up with DeMore and everything? Was just being in, like, you guys were all that like that Detroit area. Like that Detroit area's got had a lot of talent. Like a lot of boys.
I've done Scott since I was probably about 16 years old. Yeah.
Really? How old was he?
Yep.
When you met?
I don't know. I don't know how old's Scott now. He's maybe like 10 years older than me. Maybe early 40s.
Were his shorts too small back then too?
No, 1,000%.
When I first met Scott, he was still wrestling, and he wrestled in those like that Chaz like onesie and stuff. I don't think it was too flattering on.
Well, let me tell you about the shorts real quick. 2 things about shorts. Number 1, were you ever there when Dutch Mantel was there, Jimmy?
I was not. I worked with him briefly in WWE.
Okay, so he wore the same orange shorts for like 3 years, okay? And Scott D'Amore has no problem wearing very short shorts. That's why I call him Tuggles, because he always has to tug his shorts from in between his inner thighs. And he doesn't like to do it sometimes with his hands, so people notice him. So he's got these little tricks, one which I call the catcher stance, where he will literally go into a catcher stance so the shorts can be released from the inner thighs and then stand back up. Nothing?
That's tremendous, man. I'll have to take a look at it.
Hey, man, what were the biggest things for you this year? Like your biggest moments, would you say?
I mean, specifically, it was a tremendous privilege to be a part of All In. I mean, that was really just a historic night. I mean, no bullshit, man. That was the biggest independent wrestling show of all time, and just to have even a small role in the Battle Royal was really it was really nice. It was a nice thing. And just StarCast in general, man. The fact that all those fans showed up, it wasn't like they all showed up, because they're in town for WrestleMania. They all came to Chicago for the sole purpose of StarCast and All In. I just thought it was such a beautiful thing.
Bro, when I was there, I just kept thinking, this is fucking incredible. And for somebody that started in the indies like you, that you probably maybe never thought something like this could be possible and you were a part of it, that had to be incredible.
Absolutely, man. It was really, it was beautiful, man. It was such a beautiful thing to see how the independents have grown. And this whole year with Impact, dude, I've loved it, dude. I have a really good time, producing talent and just, doing promos with guys. I have a fun time doing it. This whole year, dude, has been really cool.
Bro, I thought creative was great. I love so many storylines. Like, I was loving the shit with Tommy Dreamer and Eddie Edwards. I've been loving Eddie Edwards in general, all the shit with LAX, some of the stuff that you did with Eli Drake, even Fala and KLM, and just so many. Excuse me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been fun, man. The stuff with LAX, I thought has come out like really cool. Like, it's cool at Impact. We have a little more like leeway to tell these stories. So with the stuff we do with LAX, like, you could never do that in WWE, but like we can do it at Impact. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really has been.
Storytelling, which is good.
I got a question. Who was when you came into to Impact and you're gonna be working creative? Who were some of the guys that you look at that you've worked with that you really clicked creatively with that you didn't think you would?
I think, man. I didn't think I would. I mean,
not that you didn't think you would, but like it's you were like, wow, I could do some.
Maybe surprised you.
Yeah, surprised you.
I mean, not just because you're here, but Conan, like right off the get. I remember talking to you in Ottawa my first week, and I was like, yo, I've never, I don't know, we might have met, in passing over the years, but this first time we actually talked, I was like, yo, Conan's he's a smart dude. Like, he really knows his stuff. So it's always cool when you meet somebody, you're like, all right, cool, this guy gets it. I don't need to worry about this guy. This guy is actually going to enhance what I do, because a lot of people, this is a job. Some people it's like you give them something and you got to really work hard to bring them up to it. And there's other people, you give them something and they bring a whole new life to it. And that's always really exciting.
And that's the same thing, because me as what I do in AAA, I got to do the same thing. And Tommy, I'm sure, does the same thing over there. Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Same thing with you. Like, when you see somebody backstage that you don't got to worry about him putting together a finish for you, and you say, hey, man, can you handle this finish? Or you don't have to really be hands-on somebody that does a promo. You just give him the bullet points and do it. That helps, exactly like Jimmy says, it helps the whole process, because that's one less person you have to worry about, right?
Absolutely. Dependability, and they're going to deliver.
Hey, we got one more guest to jump in real quick.
All right, let me just say goodbye to Jimmy. Jimmy, please, where can people find you, and what do you got going on that you might want to plug?
Yeah, man, you can find me on social media, Jimmy Jacobs X on Twitter and Instagram. The past couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about the writing process in wrestling. So if anybody wants to comment on that or have an open discussion about that, I had a Instagram live Q&A this week. Just hey man, look, man, I get it. Sometimes you watch wrestling, you watch Monday Night Raw, and it sucks. We get it. It probably does suck. But let's move the conversation past oh, that sucks. Okay, cool. Now, why does it suck, and what can be done differently? What are some ideas that let's have a proper conversation and not just I mean, hey, if you want to shit on it, fine. You can do that, and that's been done, and you can do it. You're allowed to. You're a fan. You're a critic. No problem. But I'm trying to maybe start a new conversation, maybe a little higher-minded conversation, more productive conversation than just this sucks.
Yeah, just the straight negativity that prevails out there. And if you're not going to have any solutions, and all you're going to do is just going to fucking, you know what I'm saying, complain about it. Yeah. How is this being fixed? So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, when 99% of the conversation is critical and 1% of it is this is what I would do instead,
Hey, Chris Jericho just joined the party.
Yes, the holiday party.
What up, Chris?
What's up, Chris?
Oh, good, man. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, it's Jericho. Hey, what's up, dude?
Bro.
Hey, Jimmy. What's up, buddy?
Not
much. Got going on here. Okay, yeah, we got a big crew, so I'm going to take off at this. So you guys doing awesome, and right. I love you all, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jimmy.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy.
Peace.
Jimmy, I'm making a list, checking it twice. There you go. All right. Hey, man, I listened to your podcast with Sami Zayn today, by the way, and just awesome, man. He and I have spent like nights, like all night talking, and it just encapsulated him so perfectly, man. It was a fantastic interview.
He is lovably insane, man. Gotta love that guy, man, for sure. Hope you're doing good, Jimmy.
All right, see you, bud.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
we're here with Tommy Dreamer and Di, and of course JoJo.
Jeez, Tommy's on too. You did have a star-studded crew. Excellent.
Law,
Last time
how
I saw
are you?
Tommy, I'm good. Last time I saw Tommy, he came to a Fozzy show and he wore his rock and roll jeans.
And
What
then
was
I
the
saw
father-
you for a brief second as a Pentagon.
That's right, exactly. Not wearing rock and roll jeans.
Chris, what do you do for Christmas?
I'm staying at home, man. I've been. Oh, by the way, this is the first time you and I have spoken since you ditched out on the cruise, Disco.
Oh,
Yes, Jericho.
jeez.
Well, let me
Did
point
you hear-
out. Go ahead.
What? No,
Well-
I was going to say, you go first.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, recently, since I wasn't at the cruise, did you see somebody from a Carnival Cruise line tour out of Miami? A cruise out of Miami was thrown overboard and has gone missing. And they okay, and that and I'll also want to say this. This is like you guys. You include Jericho because it was your boat. Conan on a show on your flagship on your network, okay, on the Jericho network, was on here openly promoting and campaigning to endorse people to, if they had the chance, to throw me overboard. Okay, and you never said like, hey, we're not going to condone that. We're not. Actually, I think you guys actually joked and laughed about it and stuff. Everything, But then what happened was, here's a person that actually did get thrown overboard. What if I would have gotten thrown overboard and would have gone missing and would never been heard from again?
You really want us to answer that?
The show must go on. Fozzy had
Absolutely.
that. The show must go on.
I'll
Absolutely.
tell you this, so I have on very good authority from the Las Vegas Police Department. I've got a good friend there, works in the forensics. He did a search on you, a background search, and found out that you do have A, a passport, B, a driver's license, and C, a state ID. Plus, you also have a Sam's Club card. You have all the ID you needed to get on the cruise, Disco. I think that you just did not show up because you were scared that you were going to get thrown overboard.
And I think he was
First,
afraid of Ted Irvine too.
Yeah, true story.
That's possible.
Well, and what about this guy Lazenby? What's his deal? Because he's made some pointed comments about how he was threatening me with physical violence, and you've endorsed him, and you've actually done a podcast with him on the Jericho Network, correct? On Talk is Jericho.
Man, yes, I have. He's a very famous stuntman and actor, trained at the Hart Brothers Pro Wrestling School back in the day, and he was also very disappointed to the point where I had to actually refund his money that he was paying to go on the cruise because he was so disappointed that you weren't there to beat you up. So it was a big domino effect of issues that happened, Disco. But the good news is this: so everyone's buzzing about the fact that there will be the Chris Jericho Rock and Wrestling Razor at Sea second wave will be happening. We're going to give the dates away probably in January. But let's say it's in early 2020, you now officially have time to get a passport. So start filing the papers now.
Well, let's talk about some of the things now. So I didn't go. Okay, I went there. And these were actually, there were circumstances within my control, but there were circumstances beyond my control. So I've already told the story of this thing. But there was completely unnecessary, in my opinion, for you while you were performing your concert to make slanderous comments about me. And getting your entire cruise ship to chant slanderous slurs at me, I thought that was very inappropriate and unprofessional.
Well, I thought I remedied that by dressing up as you for the Halloween Fozzy show. I thought that was a goodwill gesture on my part. To
I thought the nose looked very lifelike.
It did not, and it was just basically you guys used my. I was just wondering, like the amount of ridicule I got. And I wasn't even on the cruise. Okay, I just imagine what that type of environment would be for me if I actually went.
Well, I think there's. I think you're underplaying yourself. I think there's a lot of fans of Disco Inferno. A lot of people very disappointed. And it's so funny that the 65 or 70 talents that were booked on the cruise, that only one of them no-showed. Only one, and that was you. So. Right. It's it's something you can hold up head up high in the fact that you're the only fuck up who didn't make it on time. And the only guy who missed the signing was you, Conan. So you gotta find.
Wait a minute. Conan actually missed an appearance. Where else? Okay, you're on a boat. There's nowhere else to go. There's literally no excuse. Nowhere else you could rather be. How did you miss it,
bro? I don't know, because they were giving out these little. I don't even know what you would call them, but every day they would give you like these
itinerary.
Right, like an itinerary. And there was one day where they, like, even my podcast was supposed to be on one day, and they changed it to another day at another hour, and people were confused. So I got confused reading that thing, and I just got confused. Plus, I was in Iran the whole time I was there. So
that's what I think. Yeah, you can blame it on the itinerary and the pamphlet and all that stuff.
Right.
I just think you just were in Iran and slept in. That's what I think.
Sorry about that.
I would like to throw something in here, Chris, maybe you could help me out, because Disco said earlier that he does not understand why he is a heat magnet everywhere he goes. Now you have, out of 75 wrestlers who were on a ship, you were the only one who no-showed.
And musicians.
Chris
and
asked me, hang on. Oh, that's Chris. I'm sorry, I thought that was Disco.
That's me, yeah.
When Chris asked me if I wanted to go on the cruise, as my friend, I said, man, I'm really not interested. 1, I've never been on a cruise. 2, I don't know if I want to be around like drunken wrestlers, drunken fans. 3, I think I'll be 350 pounds by the time I get off the boat because of all the food I'd eat. I wanted to pass. I told my friend that, and he wasn't mad at me. So, and then like you wonder, and I'm staying on this whole time because I also wanted to ask you, because you start off about being politically correct, and now we're talking about heat. How come someone tweets something and then you jump on it? You tweeted about that kid missing his 450, and then you kind of messed around on that poor kid, and you jumped on that without knowing any of the ramifications of that, and then you wonder why you're a heat magnet.
Okay, well, can I answer that?
Do you do things? One second. Do you do things just to get reactions, or this is how you feel?
Absolutely. I do. First of all, let me tell you something. This is why Chris likes me being on part of his podcast network, because all these podcasts out there, all right, if you listen to one, you probably listen to most of them, because they're all regurgitating the same stuff. If I'm outside the box and have an opinion that's not going to be part of the herd, okay, I have no problem saying it. Okay, as specifically with that kid, I've asked Joe to get that kid on this podcast because we had a similar kid that did something similarly stupid. The kid that went splat, Marcus Everett, okay, he did something dumb, and we brought him on the podcast. And if you've listened to me, the one thing I've been saying all along is if you look at wrestling today, every day there's Twitter GIFs of these people doing this stupid shit, which is true. They are. I mean, it's like there's guys lighting themselves on fire, jumping off stuff. And this is the stuff that people are retweeting every day. Okay, that kid could have been anybody. I mean, he turned out to be a specific guy, and everybody came to his defense, whatever. But I'm not relenting on the factoids of that tweet. It's true. The guy did something really ridiculous that a lot of people are doing, and he almost got killed. And I don't know if it's going to take. If a guy like me has to sound like a dick to say that to finally get people to stop doing stuff like this, then I'll carry that flag all day. I don't care. I don't care if people think about it.
I do, yeah. Well, you're talking to someone who has done a lot of ridiculous stuff, and I always say glass and fire are the two things that you can't control. But I mean, I remember when it was Jericho did a top rope Frankensteiner reversing a powerbomb in midair in ECW, and I was like, whoa, that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And like, you can't heal on people because when they're trying, everything now is a digital imprint, and maybe can make their career. So, or just find out because yes, that kid did, he almost died. He was airlifted out, and I agree 100% that he was airlifted out. He fractured his skull. And when you go and just make a comment like that, what if that kid did die or stuff like that?
Well, I knew he didn't die.
You did not know that. You just know that now.
Tommy, this is the thing.
And I'm your friend. I'm saying this as your friend. I really, really like you. But like, I sometimes think some people either say things for just to get a reaction, or because me, like, if somebody dies, let's say someone actually dies, I don't go and say, well, that person was a piece of shit. I will just say, lay out. That's it. But I think sometimes people just go out
let me
there
take
just to get a reaction.
let me take advantage.
Quick response. Quick response. Wait,
Chris.
no, because he's talking to me. Hang on. Quick response. The comment, the tweet that I made is something that probably across the wrestling business, you would see a lot of guys texting each other and saying the exact same thing. People that are in the business. Okay.
I agree.
And I'm like, I'm not scared to say that stuff out loud. I'm not going to be politically correct or anything. I'm me. Everybody knows what they get. I'm just brutally honest. Okay, with my beliefs.
Here's the thing, and I think this is Tommy's point as well. This is mine as well. This is not something that just has started guys going splat. The guys have been going splat ever since I started. I went splat a million times and avoided, serious injury very luckily a few times. So has Tommy. So has Conan. I'm sure even you, Disco, when you fell off the stage in Salina, Kansas, you could have been seriously hurt that one time.
That's very disrespectful. That's
so. My point is that I think to pile on somebody, obviously, the guy's plan was to do a 450 and fracture his skull, and you could say, "Oh, what an idiot to do that," but that's not the case. It's a guy trying to make a name for himself, and obviously taking dangerous bumps. Hey, we all did those sort of things, and all of us were lucky to not get seriously hurt, but everyone took a chance. And I think I do understand the kid that goes splat, and we're sending gifts to each other as guys going splat. When it happens, I never feel vindicated or happy about it. I feel terrible for the guys because, sooner or later someone is going to die, but it's always been that way. I mean, look at stuff that, even Sabu was doing in 1991. It was completely ridiculously stupid, and that's just how all of us are because we're in the business.
Right, because we're doing. Let me just say real quick. Because we're trying to do two things. We're trying to get over and be seen and entertain, and so we'll do the extra wild shit to entertain the fans because we want to hear them fucking, not just be there sitting on their fucking hands.
Right.
Well, ultimately, in the future, when they write the wrestling books, when the history has been written and the wrestling business comes to an end. Okay, you know what the history book's going to say? You know what the title of the book is going to say? The title of the book is going to be they came to see the Disco Inferno dance. And that is the history of professional wrestling in a nutshell.
That definitely is fake news.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it's the end of professional wrestling, that's definitely the reason why. That's for sure.
Well, I was saying this.
That's very disrespectful.
I was saying this. First of all, I let you speak because I thought Jericho was talking, and then when I realized it was you, I just wanted to hear, as Raven would say, the preposterous thing you're going to say, and it was very, very preposterous. I was at my own show, Big Cass drops, and he's having a seizure, and you literally have a person filming that in your worst moment of your life, and you can hear someone say, somebody call 911, and that person who was filming it had their fucking phone, could have been calling 911, instead they're filming, and then they tagged wrestling websites. So that's the era that we live in, but if you come from our era where you have paid your dues, you have done, I don't know how much risky stuff you have done. I know a lot of risky stuff that is done, but every bump that we take is risky. But I just think you need to be a little bit, I'm not saying to change to be you, but it's that knee-jerk reaction that something goes on social media and then you click without finding out the thing. Because what if, dude, trust me, I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy shit. I saw a wrestler get New Jack, cut the guy. The guy's father ran into the locker room. He was ready to kill. And what if you run into that person's either father or brother or run into that kid in the locker room? You won't know who he is. And he decides to want to confront you, where if you say you have heat in the locker room, but you did start that unwillingly, but you still did.
Bro, I tweeted what was on my mind at the time. People are going to get that's fine. It's a knee-jerk reaction, but it's my reaction. And I tweeted that, and that was from my mind to that's what I felt. And that's me. I mean, if it was callous, it was bad. If it was shitty, that's what it is. But I tweeted what was on my mind. So it's like, if you want to knock me for tweeting what's on my mind.
He's kind of like his mentor, Trump.
Well, no, I don't care. I mean, I'm not doing Twitter for social gain or anything. I just tweet just to try to be interesting. And actually, to be honest with you, and everybody knows this about me, if you see when I tweet, come Saturday and Sunday before we start doing the shows, I'll throw controversial tweets out there to try to like see what people are going to nibble on and like what gets discussion, because sometimes you got to do something to provide content for the show. And I did this week.
Well, so there's the answer right there. You do it for social media hits. Okay, that's cool.
No, I do it to see what people's responses are going to be based on what I say. I
have something to talk about on the show.
From this, I hear you.
I mean, Chris, look at Chris's tweets sometimes. Chris tweets like a little house. He tweets what's on his mind.
He is a Twitter genius, and the business of professional wrestling is, from its very core, it's about deception and working people. But now it's a different era where you can do it, and Chris baits and hooks me. He hooks other people, and he's a creative genius, and I love everything he does.
Well, that Tom, and I just wanted to say one more thing before I got to split. I got to pick up my kids here. But when you're talking about, once again, talking with the guys that go splat and trying to do different things and trying to do things to stand out, I just remember this time in early 1992, Nick Bockwinkel came to a TV taping that we had, and it was me and Lance Stone were a tag team at the time. And Bockwinkel, after, he said, you guys are really good, but you do way too much stuff. You got to cut out a lot of that stuff. It's way too much. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, what does he know? Right? Like, What does Nick Bockwinkel know? He's too old to do any moves. He's one of the greatest performers in the history of the world, who is so damn great. And here I am now, 30-some years later, 25 years later, and I'm calling Will Ospreay and telling him to stop doing these stupid moves. And I'm telling people you don't have to do it, but you'll never figure it out until you figure it out. And it doesn't matter what anybody says. That's just how it is when you're first starting out. And we're trying to do anything we can to get noticed. And like Tommy said, in this day and age, everyone's filming everything anyways. So I understand what Disco's doing. It is his opinion, and he's very, very opinionated, very entertaining at what he does.
I wouldn't say entertaining, Chris.
Well, it's perversely entertaining. Watching a dog take a shit is entertaining too.
All right, thank you.
That's very disrespectful.
But my point is that there's always going to be kids going splat, and hopefully nobody does get seriously hurt, because it's not going to stop anybody, and it's just part of what makes us all crazy, because we're trying to like Conan said, entertain and get noticed and take some risks to do things that have never been done before. And it's just that 2018, the moonsault that Hayabusa did in 1991, which was the biggest move in the world, is now, like a hip toss or an arm drag. So a guy's going to try and do a 450 off the top of through a table on the floor. And I just hope no one gets seriously hurt. But that's never going to change. It's just the way the business is, and it's the way that we all think, and we all know it too.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, bro, that when you're older, you want to impart that wisdom to the young cats, but there's no way when you were young, or Tommy or myself or Rey Mysterio or Eddie or Sabu, you couldn't tell us not to do that, because that's the only thing we knew how to do, and we had one speed, which was go, Right. And it's almost like when you go to a horse ranch and you're watching that young Mustang run, you cannot tell a thoroughbred that he can't run. That's what he's born to do at that young age, and at that young age, we're so full of passion and testosterone and wanting to get over and doing cool shit, bro. It's just not going to stop no matter what you tell them, even if it's coming from us that are OGs. They're like, yo, you did your shit, it's our turn to do ours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
Can I ask you one last thing before you leave, Chris?
Please.
This which was such a great year for all of us in the business, such an incredibly, so many things still at this moment changing, and all this new. What were like the biggest moments of for you this year?
I mean, one would be the cruise,
right?
Just the fact that after 3 years of working on it, that pulling away from the port in Miami, just having 2,500 people on the deck. Ozzy's playing and we're pulling away. That was a great moment for me. I think Kenny Omega versus Jericho at the Tokyo Dome last year was a very cool standout moment for me. Those you're talking from a wrestling standpoint. All In that Tommy mentioned was really cool because no one really expected that.
So, like you said, it's going to be a crazy year this year because there's so many things going on, and now more than ever, there's more options for guys to go and wrestle at, which hasn't been the case for 2 decades, or basically since Vince bought WCW. So it's going to be really exciting on that end. And I think it's going to be a big year for all of us, man. All of us have made great inroads in all the different things that we're doing, with the exception of disco. But I'll tell you this. Here's what I'm going to say. You know, we've had a lot of ups and downs this year, disco, and we're starting a new year. It's Christmas time, so I think now more than ever, it really is time to give an apology. And I just wanted to say that disco, you know, through all the ups and downs, I just really, really, really want to make it clear that I just really want to say that
Did he get cut off? Did he get cut off?
His reception must have gone bad.
Oh my God!
Come on,
disco.
You know what? I'll be honest with you.
I'll accept that.
I'll be honest.
I'll accept that. I know where he was going.
I felt the love.
I'll be honest with you. Okay, all this money that Trump wants to get to build a wall in Mexico, we should just take it and build a wall between us and Canada. And the first thing we should do when we build that wall is take Chris Jericho and that punk father, his Ted Irvin, and throw him back over it, right back into Canada where they belong.
Oh.
That would be my New Year's resolution.
Wait a minute. This is after Jericho just apologized to you?
He didn't apologize. He did.
He got cut off.
Yeah, whatever.
He was about to.
Right.
No,
you could tell where he was going, right, Tom?
No. He should just him and his dad. They should just deport them. All right, and that would make America great again. To be honest,
I'm going to ask Tommy and Joe this, and this is Tommy and Joe. Didn't you feel when he said, and I don't want to steer you in any direction, did you not feel when he said this is Christmas time, there's a good time to apologize, and an apology was coming?
I felt it. I felt an apology.
Yeah, I think it was coming. It was coming from a really good place too.
Well, I didn't.
You're such
I think it was completely disingenuous to me.
I don't think he was. Tommy.
Yes, sir.
What do you got going on at a House of Hard? Is it Glory, right? Or Hardcore?
No,
right?
House of Hardcore.
Glory is red, right?
Correct.
You're a House of Hardcore. Okay. What do you? No, because I get those. I get it.
Conan. The funniest thing about it is Conan wants to start an organization called the House of Glory Holes Wrestling. That's what Conan. That's the dream that Conan always has had, right?
Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Who in this year? Give me like 3 or 5 names, because I saw you bring in people that you don't normally work with. Who in this year did you bring that really surprised you and was sometimes you don't know how good somebody really is until they're actually there in front of you and you see how people react to them. Who really surprised you this year?
A handful of people. The wrestling business is off the charts. For me, number one, Willie Mack. He's untapped potential. I couldn't be prouder of him being my champion, as well as Willie Mack is Rob Van Dam meets the Junkyard Dog. He has so much charisma. When I took him to Australia, I had a main event my last 2 nights, and then I really noticed something. We were in Australia for 2 nights. There was not one black person at either of my shows, and the people were chanting his name. And I said, how great of a world that we live in, that nobody cared about race, and all they did is care about your talent, and your talent shined so much that you main evented my last 2 nights. And I did. I asked everyone, is there a black person in the audience? And there wasn't. And I was just so happy about that, because I thought that was awesome. And he didn't realize it. He thought that was awesome as well.
Let me tell you a similar story. First of all, do you remember the movie? Do you remember the show Sanford and Son?
Yes.
Willie reminds me a little bit of Grady. Nothing?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. And number 2, so I brought him to TJ, and you got to take, because he doesn't really have a nickname. I think he calls himself the Mac. But in Mexico, we call him Hot Chocolate, Chocolate Caliente. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great name, Hot Chocolate.
It is a great name.
So we call him Chocolate Caliente. And it's funny because we'll be in Mexico and the people will chant, Wheelie, Wheelie.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So Willie Mack, who else?
Shane Strickland's another one who I think is going to reach his final potential. I've known him since his early days of CZW. The 2 guys I couldn't be prouder of are your boys, LAX. I worked a show, and I've seen them all the time, besides what they do in Impact. and I've seen them, from working at Red's place. But
did you ever use them when they were EYFBO or whatever?
No.
Okay, but you knew who they were.
I knew who they were just as like the two guys. I didn't know what that EY thing was, and then once LAX, I think they're two. And I told them this. We were in Portland at an indie show, and both of them did two different things separately. And I waited to the end of the show. They were the main event, and I went to them and I said, "Listen, guys, you are two Eddie Guerreros, and you did two things tonight that I only have seen him do." And I pointed it out to them, and I said, "You guys there was owning a room, and you guys just have so much charisma as well as the athletic ability." And I go, here's the one thing, the difference. When Eddie Guerrero was a heel and he would do the Three Amigos and he would shake and people like, boo, we hate you. We hate everything about you. And then when he was a heel, when he was a babyface and he would do the Three Amigos and do the shake and everyone's like, we love you, Eddie Guerrero. We love everything Mexican about you. We love everything Eddie Guerrero. I said, everything he did before that is what made him great. I said, because there was no difference in those actual moves, but everything he did before that was the difference. And the moment you guys figure that out, you are the top stars in this industry. And so there are guys that I look at that are just, they don't even know how great they truly are. They could do all the moves, but doing the moves, as we've discussed, means nothing.
Right.
But
connecting, what you do in between, right?
Yeah. Like I realized how great I was like 3 years into the business.
And those are some of the people that are who have totally caught my eye, and I've used them. And normally everybody I used in WWE just signed, so that's my pleasure. But that's okay.
So who do you see that aren't those names?
Hey, do you want to add Satin, who was supposed to give him at 6 o'clock?
Okay.
Let me look, Tommy.
What?
We've hung you on here long enough. What do you?
Okay. I love you guys.
Do you want to stay on?
Sure.
Yeah,
I got nothing to do. I took today off from wrestling. I did 206 shows this year. I took one day off.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did 206
This
shows
guy's an animal.
Bro, that's a WCW schedule. That's no lie. That's a WCW schedule. 100%.
Yeah.
206,
I'm normally doing
how many days?
5 days a week.
There's 104 on Friday and Saturday. Okay, where did you find 102 other shows like during the week and stuff? They do that many shows during the week?
Well, yeah, between Impact, doing Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
With Court Bowers, MLWs, they do a lot of Wednesdays, Thursdays.
Right.
And on the Indies, Thursdays are the new Fridays and Sundays are the new Saturdays. I'm working usually 4 to 5 days a week.
Really?
Yeah, bro. He works a lot. Yeah. It's fun.
I love it.
Sometimes I'll see you and me passing down the hallway and we give each other the same look. We're just tired and I'll see you in the morning, right?
Is Ryan with us right now?
Yeah,
Yo.
Ryan Satin,
we
join the party.
Hey, it's me, Conan, Joe, and Tommy Dreamer's with us.
All right, what's up, guys?
Not much. How are you?
What's up?
I'm doing all right. Just hanging out.
Ryan, let's get you to chime in this right off the bat. Let's start off hot here.
Okay.
I'm under the contention. We had Raven on earlier, and we had Jericho on earlier. It's like a Christmas party thing. So I contend that I don't think I'm a heel. Okay, and the perception is out there that I'm this big heel. I don't look at myself in the mirror and see that. What do you see when you see me? When people know me from Twitter, they don't really know me personally from Twitter, but people that know me personally kind of like me. But what do you see in me?
What do I see in you?
Be honest.
Nothing.
I got thick skin. No, like
You are starting out hot. Okay. I really think that you're just a troll, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think that you are like malicious in your thoughts. I think that you're bored. You like to see people get angry over the things that you say. And I do think that you're pretty collected when it comes to like not overreacting to things. So I think that you just like to watch other people overreact to things. I don't think that you actually believe half the shit you say.
Would you consider me a provocateur?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously, yeah, you like to rile everyone up, yes.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't mind that because if there was a bunch of provocateurs in professional wrestling, I probably wouldn't, take this course. But in the business, guys that have been in the business, how many guys do you consider provocateurs?
I don't know, but at the same time, don't you I mean, do you not care about how you're perceived in by people?
No. Because here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I know who I am. Okay, I know what I'm doing. All right, and I'm not really in the business anymore. You know, I'm in it. I'm in it because
that's almost like sliding this.
This is the guy that dressed up in a turkey suit on Thanksgiving is not.
No, because here's the thing. I'm not in the business anymore. So if I just am going to come on and be part of the echo chamber of professional wrestling, I'm not going to be an interesting personality. If I'm going to be still like people say, oh, he's irrelevant. I'm not irrelevant, okay? Because people still comment about me. I was still on NPR. I still do shows. But the thing is, like, if I'm not going to be interested, if I'm going to be boring, who would give a rat's ass about me?
Well, I think it's not necessarily boring. I think that I think that, people can come across different on social media than how they actually are in real life. Like you guys paint me as this snowflake, and in real life, like, that couldn't be further from the case. Like, I don't care about jokes that are inappropriate or things of that nature. I think that people can just get caught up in the social media sphere, and I think that, like, some people care too much about what people think of them on social media, and some people don't care enough. I think that you're definitely on the doesn't care enough side of things, because I think that when someone meets you in person, like I met you in person at All In, we talked and there was nothing but friendliness. Like, I have no ill will towards you or anything like that. I think that you just really just don't care what people think about you, but I also think that, people who have a voice, even if you think it's an irrelevant voice, like, it is a voice. And I do think that, people can use their voice for good or bad. And sometimes you like to use your voice to kind of not further. I think you like to use your voice to fuel to fan the negative side of things. And, everyone is guilty with that.
Sometimes. But I do just do the positive side of things too, but nobody likes to talk about that. Seriously, bro. I only get interest when I say what people say, when I basically quote unquote say stupid shit.
Well, there's certain things that I don't disagree with you on. Like there are certain things that, like, I don't think you're, I don't think it's bad that you want people to be safer in wrestling. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, right. Yeah, it's something you're very vocal about. Things are different than when you came up. It's very different, and I don't fault you for that in the slightest bit, like everyone's got, I will say this, from the last time that you guys spoke with me, I've very much tried to change myself and be more accepting of other people's opinions and not necessarily agree with people, but be accepting that people feel different ways than me and they're not necessarily wrong for it. So, like there are a lot of things that you and I don't agree with, but I don't think that necessarily you mean bad. It's just like Twitter's just angry all the time now. Twitter just it's bad when I think that Twitter is too mad about things now. I am annoyed at the outrage on a constant basis. It drives me crazy.
I think go ahead, Tommy.
I got a question just from who else? Who's this on the other line? I don't know who this is.
This is Ryan Satin from Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Hey, Ryan, what up? Tommy Dreamer.
What up, dog? What up?
Have you guys met each other before?
Not in person, yeah. I don't believe. No.
Oh, this is kind of like a meeting to, sort of, I guess.
We've talked before, but not like in person.
Correct.
Okay.
55-year-old man doing moonsaults is dangerous, correct?
Correct.
Who were you talking about? Terry Funk?
Then a 55-year-old man doing moonsaults to the floor. If that happened today, and what would you say to Terry Funk, who's done it all? Why would you say, why are you doing that, Terry Funk?
I wouldn't say that to anyone. I am so different than most people who are wrestling.
No, I'm not asking you. I don't care about you. I care about Cisco because he's got me on a ring.
Here's what I would exactly say to Terry Funk. Terry Funk, do what you want. The guy, how old is he now?
70.
I think Terry Funk has shown enough in his resume that as crazy as he does things, he still has been able to take care of himself. Okay, my whole point is, and when I talked about this, when I did that tweet, and I said when I said untrained, poorly trained marks. Okay, I use that term because, like, here, that depends on your experience. Himself. No. When you talk about there's a lot of things. Here's the thing that comes to mind when I see people doing this stuff. What's your experience level, and what are you getting paid to do that? Okay, there's risk reward in professional wrestling. All right. Obviously, there's people that have been doing this for years, like Sabu and Funk and everything that haven't ended up almost they've gotten through the adversity of the risks they take and proven they can do this. What the problem is when people that aren't trained well enough try to do this and they're going out there and they're almost killing themselves because their experience level is not big. Their experience level is not great enough yet for them to protect themselves or even think about things that when you do, you should protect yourself. And I think that's what I think is a big problem industry-wide is a lot of these guys they have too much courage. And it's like, at some point, courage, like at some point, there's a fine line between courage and stupidity sometimes.